The phone rang at exactly 11:47 p.m. Not a ringtone. Not a vibration. A ring. It cut through the apartment like something alive, sharp and metallic, echoing off the bare walls of the living room. For a moment, Maya Caldwell thought the sound was inside her head. She had been doom-scrolling for nearly an hour, half asleep on the couch, the glow of her phone painting her face a sickly blue. The TV across the room was paused on a streaming menu she didn't remember opening. Everything felt static, suspended, like the air before a storm. The ring came again. Her phone screen was dark. Maya frowned and lifted it anyway, her thumb brushing the glass. No missed calls. No notifications. No signal drop. The device was warm, humming softly like it always did, obedient and normal. The ring sounded a third time, louder now, and Maya realized it wasn't coming from her phone at all. It was coming from the landline. She stared at it across the room as if it had grown teeth. The landline hadn't worked in years. The apartment came furnished, and the phone had been there when she moved in, a beige relic with a curled cord and yellowed buttons. She'd never plugged it in. Never needed it. Everyone she knew lived through apps and texts and video calls. The idea of a real phone ringing felt wrong, like hearing footsteps in a house you knew was empty. Ring. Her chest tightened. Okay, she whispered to no one. That's not funny. She stood slowly, every nerve awake now, and crossed the room. With each step, the ringing seemed to sink deeper into her bones, vibrating behind her eyes. The screen of the TV flickered once, briefly, then went still again. Maya stopped inches from the phone. The cord lay coiled like something asleep. The receiver trembled against its cradle. Ring. She told herself it was a prank. A crossed wire. Some weird electrical glitch in an old building. She told herself a lot of things, because the alternative, the sense that the phone wanted her to answer, was unbearable. She lifted the receiver. The ringing stopped instantly. Silence flooded the room, thick and heavy. Maya brought the receiver to her ear, her pulse hammering loud enough to drown out her thoughts. At first, there was only static. Then breathing. Not her own. It was slow, wet, intimate, like someone standing too close in the dark. Hello. Maya said, her voice thin. Who is this? The breathing paused. For a heartbeat, she thought the call had ended. Then a voice spoke. Not distorted. Not whispering. Calm. Curious. Almost gentle. What are you afraid of? The question slid into her mind instead of her ears. Maya's stomach dropped. She tried to laugh, but the sound came out wrong, broken. This isn't funny, she said. You've got the wrong number. Another pause. The line crackled softly, like something shifting on the other end. You don't believe that, the voice replied. Maya pulled the receiver away from her ear, staring at it as if it might explain itself. Her reflection stared back from the dark TV screen, wide eyes, pale skin, lips parted. She hadn't told anyone about her fears. Not really. Not the ones that woke her up at night. Not the images that slipped into her thoughts when she closed her eyes. She raised the receiver again. Who are you? She demanded. The breathing returned, closer now. I asked the questions. The lights flickered. Just once, but it was enough. Maya felt something cold brush the back of her neck. She spun around. The apartment was empty. The front door was locked. The windows were closed. Her phone buzzed suddenly in her hand, nearly making her scream. A notification. Unknown contact has joined the call. Her phone screen lit up without her touching it. The camera app opened on its own. The front-facing camera stared back at her face, but the image lagged, jittering unnaturally, like a corrupted video file. Behind her on the screen, something moved. Maya froze. The voice spoke again, now echoing from both the receiver and the phone. "Fear is faster now," it said. "It doesn't need permission." The image on her phone sharpened. The thing behind her wasn't clear, just a shape, darker than the darkness, standing where the hallway met the living room. Long hair hung in clumps, obscuring a face that refused to fully exist. Its outline flickered, like a bad signal struggling to load. Maya screamed and turned. There was nothing there. When she looked back at her phone, the camera feed was gone. The screen showed only one thing. A single line of text. 7 days is too slow. The landline receiver slipped from her fingers and hit the floor with a hollow crack. The TV turned on by itself, volume at 0, displaying a grainy black and white image that made Maya's blood run cold. Oh well. Not recorded. Not streamed. Live. The voice whispered one last time, directly into her mind. "You answered." The screen went black. And somewhere deep within the web of signals, servers, and unseen connections that ruled the modern world, the curse smiled, because it had finally learned how to spread. Maya did not sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed until dawn, lights blazing, every screen in the apartment turned off and face down as if they might watch her back. The landline lay unplugged on the kitchen counter, its cord ripped from the wall with shaking hands. Still, she could swear she heard it sometimes, an echo of a ring that never quite reached her ears, vibrating instead somewhere behind her thoughts. At 6:13 a.m., her phone buzzed. She flinched so hard her knees hit the bed frame. A text message. From unknown. She stared at it for nearly a full minute before unlocking the screen. "Unknown, did you think about it?" Her throat tightened. She hadn't told anyone. Not her roommate, who was out of town. Not her parents back in Ohio. Not even her best friend Lila, who usually got every detail of Maya's life in voice notes and screenshots. Think about what? Her fingers hovered, then typed before she could stop herself. "Maya, who is this?" 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Reappeared. Unknown, the question. Her stomach twisted. The memory rushed back with horrifying clarity, the breathing, the voice, the thing in the reflection behind her. "What are you afraid of?" Maya locked the phone and threw it onto the bed like it had burned her. She stood, pacing the room, hands tangled in her hair. "This isn't real," she whispered. "It's some sick prank. That's all." But even as she said it, the apartment felt different. Wrong. The air seemed thicker, heavy with something unspoken. Her reflection in the mirror by the closet looked delayed again, just a fraction of a second slower than her movements. She grabbed her backpack and left for class without eating, without checking her phone again. Outside, the world looked normal. Too normal. Morning traffic crawled past, coffee shops buzzed, students laughed into their screens as they walked. Everyone was connected, wired into invisible networks that felt suddenly predatory to Maya, like veins under skin. Her phone vibrated. Again as she crossed campus. She didn't look. By noon, she had 6 missed notifications. In psychology lecture, the professor droned on about fear responses, fight, flight, freeze, while Maya's heart raced uncontrollably. Her phone lay face down on the desk, vibrating softly every few minutes like a trapped insect. Finally, she snapped. She unlocked it. The messages filled the screen. "Unknown, did you answer honestly?" "Unknown, fear hides better when you lie." "Unknown, it's easier now, Maya." "Unknown, everyone shares." Her name made her breath catch. "How do you know me?" she whispered. Her phone buzzed immediately. "Unknown, you carry it with you." The lecture hall lights flickered. Just once. Maya stood so abruptly her chair screeched against the floor. Heads turned. The professor frowned, but Maya was already pushing past the row, her pulse roaring in her ears. She didn't stop walking until she reached the bathroom on the far side of the building. She locked herself into a stall and slid down against the wall, pressing her fist into her mouth to keep from sobbing. Her phone vibrated again. Against her leg. She didn't want to look. She didn't want to see what it would say. But the fear of not knowing was worse. She raised the phone. The screen showed a video. Already playing. It was her apartment. Last night. The angle was wrong, too high, too distant, like it had been filmed from the ceiling corner. The footage showed her on the couch, half asleep, scrolling on her phone. The timestamp read 11:46 p.m. 1 minute before the call. Maya's hands began to shake violently. On the video, the landline rang. Maya on screen stood up and walked toward it. But the camera didn't follow her. Instead, it slowly zoomed into the dark hallway behind the living room. Something was already there. Tall. Still. Watching. Maya gasped, dropping the phone into her lap. The bathroom lights went out. Not just in her stall, in the entire restroom. Darkness swallowed everything, thick and suffocating. Someone screamed faintly down the hall. Maya's breathing turned ragged as she fumbled for the phone, its screen now the only source of light. The video had paused. A single frame filled the display. The thing in the hallway had moved closer to the camera. Hair hung over its face in wet ropes. Its mouth was open too wide, stretched into an impossible grin. White text appeared over the image. You have 1 day left to answer. The bathroom lights snapped back on. The phone screen went black. Maya scrambled to her feet, heart pounding so hard it hurt. She stumbled out of the stall, splashing water on her face at the sink. Her reflection stared back, eyes bloodshot, skin ashen. But behind her reflection, for just a moment, the mirror showed something else. Not a figure. A well. Dark. Endless. Waiting. Maya screamed. When she blinked, the mirror was normal again. Her phone buzzed one last time. A final message. Unknown, fear doesn't need 7 days anymore. And somewhere, buried deep inside servers and signals and endless scrolling feeds, something ancient and patient was learning how to crawl faster, one screen, one question, one terrified answer at a time. Maya stopped going to class. By the third day, fear had rearranged her life into something smaller and quieter. Curtains stayed closed. Lights stayed on. Every mirror in the apartment was covered with towels, bed sheets, or trash bags taped in place like makeshift bandages over open wounds. She moved carefully, deliberately, as if sudden motion might attract attention. Because she was no longer sure where it was watching from. Her phone lay on the kitchen table, face down, wrapped loosely in aluminum foil like a joke she didn't find funny. She told herself it couldn't see her if she didn't look at it. That was how this thing worked, right? Screens. Signals. Attention. But fear didn't follow rules anymore. At 3:02 a.m., she woke up to the sound of breathing. Not in the apartment. Inside her head. She bolted upright, gasping, her heart slamming against her ribs. The room was unchanged. Light glaring, walls bare, shadows pressed flat. But the breathing continued, slow and patient, syncing with her pulse like it had always belonged there. Stop, she whispered. Please. The breathing stopped. Her phone buzzed. She stared at it from across the room, dread pooling in her stomach. The foil crinkled as the device vibrated beneath it, persistent, insistent. Finally, shaking, she crossed the room and peeled the foil back. The screen lit up instantly. No messages. No calls. Just her reflection in the black glass. Except it blinked when she didn't. Maya dropped the phone and stumbled backward, hitting the wall hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. The phone clattered onto the floor, screen still glowing. A new app icon appeared on the home screen. No name. Just a white ring on a black background. Her phone opened it on its own. The camera activated, not the front-facing one. The rear camera. The screen showed her living room from behind her. Maya turned slowly. Nothing. But on the screen, the image darkened, colors bleeding into gray. The corners of the room stretched. Unnaturally, bending inward like the image was being pulled down a drain. A notification slid across the screen. Answer the question. Her knees buckled. She sank to the floor, tears blurring her vision. I don't know, she sobbed. I don't know what you want. The image on the phone shifted. It wasn't the living room anymore. It was a memory. Maya recognized it instantly, the hallway outside her childhood bedroom. The old house in Ohio. The nightlight glowing faintly. The door at the end of the hall, half open. Her breath caught painfully in her throat. No, she whispered. You don't get to. The memory moved. The door creaked open. And from inside the room, something began to crawl out. Not the girl from the well. Something smaller. Something wrong. A shape that wore her fear like skin. Maya screamed, slamming the phone face down. But the images didn't stop. They came anyway, flickering behind her eyes, sharp and invasive. Every fear she had ever buried surfaced all at once, drowning in dark water, being trapped underground, waking up unable to move while something watched from the corner of the room. The breathing returned. Right behind her. Stop, she screamed, spinning around. The apartment was empty. Her phone chimed. A new message. Unknown, fear is clearer when you say it out loud. She grabbed the phone, rage cutting through the terror like broken glass. What do you want from me? She shouted. Why me? The response came immediately. Unknown, you answered. Her blood ran cold. I didn't. Unknown, you picked up. The lights flickered violently now, plunging the apartment into a strobe of brightness and shadow. The covered mirrors rustled as if something behind them was pushing outward, testing the thin barriers of cloth. Maya backed away, pressing herself against the wall. I'm afraid, she said, voice cracking. I'm afraid of being seen. Of being watched. Of never being alone. The moment the words left her mouth, the room went silent. The light stabilized. The breathing stopped. Her phone vibrated softly in her hand. The app screen displayed a single word. Recorded. Maya's stomach dropped. What does that mean? She whispered. The phone buzzed again. A live stream notification. You are live. She stared in horror as the viewer count ticked upward. 10. 11. 12. Comments began to appear beneath the video. What is this? Is this real? Creepy filter LOL. The camera feed showed Maya, curled against the wall, eyes wild, tears streaking her face. She hadn't started the stream. She hadn't shared it. But it was out there now. Her fear. Broadcast. The comments section exploded. She looks terrified. Is this part of a challenge? Don't look behind you. Her heart stopped. Slowly, trembling, Maya lifted her eyes toward the covered mirror across the room. The towel slid down on its own. The glass beneath was black, not reflective, not empty. Something moved within it. Watching. Learning. And somewhere in the endless digital crowd, the curse fed. Not on one terrified girl, but on every pair of eyes that chose to keep watching. By morning, Maya was no longer alone. Her face was everywhere. She woke on the living room floor, stiff and aching, the phone still clutched in her hand like a weapon she didn't know how to drop. The TV was on, muted, but the screen glowed with a familiar image. Her own live stream. Paused. A still frame of her crouched against the wall, eyes wide with terror, mouth open mid-sob. Across the bottom of the screen, a headline scrolled. Mystery horror stream goes viral overnight. Maya's stomach churned. She scrambled to her feet, grabbing the remote with shaking hands. The channel changed, then changed again. There she was. Everywhere. Clips of her stream replayed endlessly, zoomed-in shots, slowed footage, commentary layered over her fear like entertainment. People laughed. Influencers speculated. Experts debated whether it was performance art, a marketing stunt, or an ARG designed to promote an upcoming horror project. No one thought it was real. Her phone buzzed violently. Notifications stacked faster than she could read them. You have 3.2 million views. #RingIV challenge trending worldwide. Creators are going live to recreate the fear question. Maya felt dizzy. She leaned against the counter, breathing hard. No, she whispered. Please, no. Her social media feeds were flooded with reactions. Teenagers filming themselves answering the question, laughing nervously. Couples daring each other to pick up ringing phones. Live streams titled, "What Are You Afraid Of?" with neon thumbnails and countdown timers. Somewhere between the clips, Maya saw it. In the background of a recreation video, a dark shape standing too still behind a laughing girl. In another, a reflection that moved late. The comments underneath those videos were different. Did anyone else see that? Rewatch at 012. That wasn't a filter. Maya's phone buzzed again. A direct message. From unknown. Unknown, faster than we thought. She screamed and hurled the phone across the room. It hit the wall and slid to the floor, screen unbroken, still glowing. The TV flickered. The paused image of Maya dissolved into static. Then the well appeared. Not grainy this time. Sharp. High definition. The stone walls glistened with moisture, every crack and crevice painfully clear. The darkness inside seemed deeper than before, swallowing light instead of reflecting it. A new banner scrolled across the bottom of the screen. Live feed, source unknown. Maya staggered backward. I didn't do this, she whispered. I didn't share anything. The voice answered, not from the TV, not from the phone, but from everywhere at once. You didn't need to. The screen split. On one side, the well. On the other, dozens of small windows, live streams from all over the world. Bedrooms. Dorm rooms. Cars. Bathrooms. Faces lit by screens, eyes bright with anticipation, fear dressed up as fun. Each person held a phone. Each person waited. Stop, Maya begged. You'll hurt them. The voice almost sounded amused. They asked. One by one, phones began to ring inside the live stream windows. Real rings. Not notifications. Maya watched in horror as people froze, laughed, hesitated, then answered. Some screamed immediately. Others frowned, confused, as the question was asked. What are you afraid of? Maya dropped to her knees. This isn't how it works, she sobbed. There were rules. 7 days. A tape. Rules were for slower worlds, the voice said gently. This one shares everything. The well on the screen rippled. Something moved inside it. Maya's phone buzzed where it lay on the floor. Against her will, she crawled toward it, hands trembling as she picked it up. A countdown timer filled the screen. 23 minutes and 41 seconds. Her breath hitched. What happens when it reaches 0? The screen changed to the camera feed. Her own face stared back at her, but her eyes were wrong. Too dark. Too deep. Behind her reflection, the apartment walls stretched and bowed inward. The mirrors, those she'd covered, began to bulge beneath the fabric, pushing outward like skin over bone. Unknown, you finish answering. I already did, she whispered. The timer continued. 22 minutes and 58 seconds. The TV suddenly switched to a news broadcast. A reporter stood outside a suburban home, face pale. Authorities are responding to multiple unexplained deaths believed to be connected to the viral Ring 4 trend, she said. Viewers report victims were live streaming moments before. The reporter's phone rang. On live television. She froze. The camera kept rolling as she slowly raised the phone to her ear. The broadcast cut to static. Maya screamed until her throat burned. The mirrors exploded. Glass shattered outward, raining fragments across the room. From each broken surface, darkness spilled, not shadows, but depth, like holes punched into reality. Hair emerged first. Then hands. Then faces, twisted, frozen expressions of fear, mouths open in silent screams. Not just one. Many. Reflections without bodies, crawling out of the places they had been trapped. Maya backed away until she hit the wall. The timer hit 10 minutes. The voice softened. You showed them how. Her phone buzzed one final time. Unknown, now they're showing each other. As the first reflection pulled itself fully into the room, Maya understood the truth too late. The curse didn't need victims anymore. It needed witnesses. And the whole world was watching. Maya ran. She didn't remember getting to the stairwell, only the feeling of motion, bare feet slapping concrete, lungs tearing for air, her heartbeat crashing so loud it drowned out thought. The apartment door hung open behind her, the sound of breaking glass and crawling things echoing after her like a memory she couldn't outrun. The stairwell lights strobed as she descended, each flicker revealing something different on the walls. Not graffiti. Not shadows. Screens. Flat, glossy rectangles embedded in the concrete, glowing softly. Each one showed a face, someone live, someone terrified, someone answering a question they thought was a game. Maya looked away, but the images burned into her vision anyway. Don't watch, she whispered, choking on the words. Don't watch. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She hadn't realized she was still holding it. A new alert filled the screen. You are now a verified source. She tripped and fell, skinning her palms, the phone skidding a few feet away. It stopped on its own, screen facing up, camera open. The stairwell behind her wasn't empty anymore. Figures stood between the landings, half-formed, wrong. Their movements stuttered like buffering video. Hair hung in front of faces that kept changing, cycling through expressions of fear and confusion. Some wore clothes from decades ago. Some wore pajamas. Some wore hospital gowns. All of them were watching her. All of them were being watched. The phone chimed. A live counter ticked upward again. 1,204. 9,877. 54,112. No, Maya sobbed. Please, stop looking at me. The nearest figure tilted its head, a sound like static tearing from its throat. They won't, it said in a voice layered with many voices. They can't. Maya scrambled to her feet and burst out into the street. Morning had come, bright and cruel. People were everywhere, walking dogs, sipping coffee, staring at their phones. Traffic crawled past. Sirens wailed distantly. The world looked normal enough to make her scream. She ran into the middle of the sidewalk, waving her arms. "Don't answer," she shouted at no one and everyone. "If your phone rings, don't." People stared. Some laughed. Someone filmed her. A teenage girl pointed her phone at Maya, grinning. "Guys, I found the Ring girl," she said to her live stream. "She's freaking out in real life." The girl's phone rang. The sound was unmistakable. A real ring. The girl froze, smile sliding off her face. The chat exploded on her screen. "Answer it. Do it. This is crazy." Maya lunged forward. "Don't," she begged. "Please. Just drop it." The girl's hand shook. She answered. The ring stopped. The girl frowned, confused. "Hello?" Her eyes glazed over. Behind her, the asphalt darkened, rippling like water. A circular shape formed beneath her feet, stone, wet, ancient. A well. Maya screamed as the ground opened and swallowed the girl whole. No blood. No sound. Just absence, like a video cutting out mid-frame. The crowd erupted. Screams, phones raised, chaos multiplying itself. Every screen captured it. Every screen shared it. Maya staggered back, bile burning her throat. Her phone buzzed. Unknown, they learn faster when it's public. "I didn't want this," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't choose this." The reply came slowly. "Unknown, you chose to look." The streetlights flickered though it was full daylight. The sky dimmed, colors draining as if the world itself was being compressed into grayscale. Across the street, every digital billboard turned black. Then the question appeared. "What are you afraid of?" People froze mid-step. Cars stalled. The sound of the city dulled, muffled, like cotton stuffed into the world's ears. Maya felt a pressure in her skull, memories clawing their way up from somewhere deep and buried. She saw herself as a child, standing in the hallway at night, afraid to move because something might notice. She saw herself older, invisible in crowded rooms, scrolling endlessly just to feel seen. The voice returned. Closer than ever. "Fear wants to be witnessed," it said. "Say it again." "No," Maya whispered. "I won't feed you." The pressure increased. Every billboard screen changed, showing Maya's face in close-up. Her terror, magnified to impossible size. Millions watching. Waiting. Her phone vibrated violently. Countdown resumed. 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Maya laughed hysterically, the sound breaking apart in her chest. "You think this ends with me," she said. "You think I'm the source." The figures began to emerge from shadows along the street, reflections made flesh, stepping out of windows, puddles, phone screens. Each one carried a hollow look of understanding. "You're not," one said softly. "You're the proof." Maya looked around at the crowd, at the raised phones, the wide eyes, the hunger for something terrifying and new. Understanding hit her like a physical blow. The curse didn't move from person to person. It looped. Witness to victim. Victim to content. Content to witness. There was no end. Only views. The countdown hit 1 minute. Maya closed her eyes. When she opened them, she made a choice. She lifted her phone and turned the camera outward. The live stream feed flipped. The viewers saw what she saw, the figures, the wells opening beneath the city, the reflections tearing free. The chat exploded with panic. "What are you doing?" the voice demanded. "Showing them," Maya said hoarsely. "All of it." The screen glitched violently. For a moment. Just a moment, the viewer count stalled. The voice screamed, a sound like a million signals dying at once. Then the timer hit 0. The world went dark. And somewhere in that darkness, something learned a new fear. Being seen for what it truly was. Maya expected death. She expected the cold pull of the well, the snap of bone and darkness, the end of sound and thought. Instead, she woke up to silence so complete it felt artificial, like the audio had been muted on reality itself. She lay on the pavement in the middle of the street. Daylight hung frozen above her, no clouds moving, no birds, no wind. Cars sat abandoned at odd angles, doors open, engines stalled. People stood where they had been moments before, perfectly still, phones clutched in their hands, eyes locked on screens that no longer glowed. Maya sat up slowly. Her head throbbed. Her throat felt raw, like she'd screamed for hours. "Hello?" she said. Her voice didn't echo. It barely existed. She staggered to her feet, turning in a slow circle. The city looked like a paused video, mid-chaos, mid-terror, mid-scream. A woman stood frozen with her mouth open. A man was half-turned, panic carved into his face. A child stared at a phone, thumb hovering just above the screen, about to tap answer. Maya reached out and gently touched the child's shoulder. Nothing. No warmth. No resistance. It was like touching an image. Her phone buzzed. The sound was deafening in the silence. She looked down at the screen with dread curling deep in her stomach. No countdown. No live stream. Just a single notification. No active viewers. Maya swallowed. "Did I stop it?" she whispered. The reflection in a nearby car window moved when she didn't. Her stomach dropped. Slowly, she turned. The reflection was still her, but not exactly. Her eyes in the glass were too dark, pupils blown wide, the whites barely visible. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. "You interrupted a cycle," it said. Maya backed away. "What did you do to them?" "They're not gone," the reflection replied. "They're buffering." Fear surged. "Bring them back." "You misunderstand," it said calmly. "This place is not the world." Maya's breath came fast. "Then where am I?" The reflection smiled. "Between." The car. Window rippled outward, the glass melting into black water. From its surface, figures began to rise, dozens, then hundreds. People Maya recognized from the live streams. Some crying. Some screaming. Some eerily calm. All of them holding phones. "You showed them too much," the reflection said. "Truth creates noise. Noise creates silence." Maya shook her head violently. "You feed on fear." "I starved you." "You fed me differently," it replied. "Now they know." The frozen city around her began to crack, not breaking, but splitting like a corrupted file. Buildings flickered between solid and grainy monochrome. The sky pixelated, blocks of color tearing away to reveal endless black beneath. A well opened behind her. Not in the ground. In the air. A perfect circle of darkness hovered inches above the pavement, pulling light into itself. From its depths came the sound Maya now recognized more clearly than her own heartbeat. Breathing. "Why me?" she whispered again, exhausted. "Why was I the first?" "You weren't," the reflection said. "You were the first to be believed." The words hit her harder than any threat. She thought of the comments. The views. The way people leaned closer instead of turning away. How fear had become content, then currency. "How do I end it?" Maya asked. The reflection stepped out of the glass. Up close, it was unmistakably her, and unmistakably wrong. Its movements were smooth, practiced, like someone who had worn her shape many times before. You don't, it said gently. You replace. The well pulsed. Maya felt it tug at her, not physically, but inside, pulling at memories, at identity, at the fragile idea of self she'd spent her life building. I won't, she said, though her voice shook. You already are, it replied. The frozen people around her began to move again, but wrong. Their motions jittered, looping, repeating. Each one slowly raised their phone and turned toward Maya. The screens lit up. All of them showed her face. Live. The viewer count. Returned. 10. 1,000. 100,000. The silence shattered. Sound rushed back in a violent wave, screams, ringing phones, static, overlapping voices asking the same question in endless chorus. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Maya clutched her head, collapsing to her knees. I'm afraid, she cried, that it never ends. The moment she said it, everything stopped. The reflection closed its eyes. Yes, it whispered. That's the one fear that spreads on its own. The well surged upward, engulfing the sky. And as the city dissolved into darkness and signal noise, Maya understood the final cruelty of the curse. It didn't want her scream. It wanted her truth. Because truth, once shared, can never be taken back. And the world was already watching again. Maya stood at the edge of the well. There was no ground beneath her feet anymore, only depth, an impossible vertical darkness stretching forever downward and outward at the same time. The city was gone. The frozen people, the reflections, the fractured sky, gone. All that remained was the well and the sound of breathing, steady and patient, as if it had been waiting here long before her world learned how to stream. She looked down. She didn't see herself falling. She saw others. Endless figures drifting in the dark, suspended like corrupted files that never finished loading. Faces flickered in and out, teenagers, parents, strangers from across the world. Some still clutched phones. Some mouthed words without sound. Some stared upward, eyes wide, begging silently to be noticed again. Are they dead? Maya asked, her voice barely more than thought. The darkness answered in her own voice. Dead is outdated. The breathing deepened. They are remembered. Maya felt something tighten inside her chest. Then let them go. A pause. Then laughter, soft, intimate, almost sad. Why would I? The voice asked. They chose to stay. The well rippled. Images bloomed along its inner walls like screens switching on, live streams, clips, reactions. The world watching itself watch fear. Comment sections scrolling endlessly. Faces leaning closer. Fingers tapping share. They wanted meaning, the voice continued. They wanted to be seen. You showed them how. Maya clenched her fists. I showed them the truth. Yes, the voice agreed. And truth is addictive. The darkness shifted. A final image formed in front of her, clearer than anything before. Her apartment. Empty. Clean. No broken mirrors. No crawling reflections. Just silence and sunlight spilling across the floor. Her phone lay on the coffee table. Ringing. You can go back, the voice said. Hope flared painfully in her chest. Really? You will wake up, it said. You will be believed. You will be interviewed. Studied. Watched. Maya swallowed. And the curse? The breathing slowed. You won't be the face anymore. Understanding crept in like ice. I'll be the source. Yes. Maya laughed softly, brokenly. So it never ends. The voice didn't deny it. It only updates. The ringing grew louder. Maya looked at the phone in the vision. Her hand twitched instinctively, memory taking over. What happens if I don't answer? She asked. The darkness leaned closer. Someone else will. Maya closed her eyes. She thought of the first night, the couch, the quiet, the boredom. The way she hadn't even hesitated. How easy it had been. Fear didn't kick down doors anymore. It waited. She opened her eyes and stepped back from the edge. No, she said. The well trembled. The voice sharpened. You can't stop it. I know, Maya replied. But I can change what it needs. She turned, not toward the vision of her apartment, but inward, toward the pull inside her chest where fear had rooted itself. I'm afraid, she said clearly, steadily, that people will always choose to watch instead of help. The darkness recoiled. That fear doesn't trap, the voice said. It doesn't. It spreads, Maya interrupted. Without you. The well began to crack. Not breaking, but unraveling, like a signal losing coherence. The images along its walls distorted, comments blurring into unreadable noise. The breathing faltered. What are you doing? The voice demanded. I'm letting them look at themselves, Maya said. The darkness screamed. The well collapsed inward, not violently, but quietly, folding in on itself until there was nothing left but black. Then. Light. Maya woke up on her couch. Sunlight streamed through the window. Her phone lay on her chest, silent. The TV was off. The apartment was normal. Too normal. She sat up slowly, heart racing. No notifications. No unknown messages. No ringing. She laughed shakily, tears filling her eyes. It's over, she whispered. Her phone buzzed. A single notification appeared. Trending. The ring incident, hoax or cover-up. Her smile faded. She opened the link. Clips played, edited, framed, softened. Experts laughed it off. Influencers debated whether the deaths were staged. Commenters argued, joked, dared each other to try it again. Someone typed. My phone rang last night. Probably nothing LOL. Maya stared at the screen. In the reflection of the glass, her eyes looked normal. But behind her. Just for a moment. Something blinked. The phone rang. Not loud. Not urgent. Patient. Maya didn't answer. Across the world, someone else did. And as the screen lit up in a dark room somewhere far away, a familiar question was asked again. Not from a well. Not from a ghost. But from the endless hunger of being watched. What are you afraid of? And you're still here. Still reading. Still watching.